Hi, time for an unboxing. I haven't done one for a while, and funnily enough I recorded a video yesterday which you'll see early next week in which I say time for an unboxing. Do 2 in a row. And today this is actually a rock and roll unboxing, but it's also a science fiction one, and it is related to the band Hawkwind, yes, the ultimate space rock band. Now a lot of you, especially the older people who watch the channel, will know who they are, but you could easily be an SF fan from any part of the world and never have heard of them, because they're a very culty underground band. Only had one hit single in the UK, and they've been going since 1969, and they only have one original member left, but their membership changed constantly throughout their evolution. So a lot of people have been in the band, and they're kind of like one of the great psychedelic bands per se, my favourite. So today we've got unboxing, and what we're going to look at is a new edition of this album. This is a vinyl copy, and this is In Search of Space, sometimes called X In Search of Space. And there have been various sort of editions over the years, CDs, vinyl. I've had quite a few editions, and this is one from a few years back. And this is broadly speaking, a concept album. Like all good concept albums, it's very loose concept, and the idea is that what's happening here is that it's about a spaceship crossing a galaxy that is two-dimensional, that is flat, and this record sleeve and the record inside is the two-dimensional space, and a spaceship is moving across it, and what you're getting in the songs are the dreams of the starfarers themselves. This concept was expanded for Hawkwind's slightly later live album, The Space Ritual Alive. So that's what this is about. So I'll talk you through about the songs and things as well. But what we've got here is a new edition, which is a box set, because what's happening with Hawkwind, there's lots of box sets gradually coming out. And this is from Cherry Red, who are basically a reissue label. They do the odd new thing, but they're basically a UK reissue label. And they're a boon for record collectors and music fans. Now, I'm just going to tear this open, because it's probably sealed up in a particularly savage way to prevent damage, or damage as we say. So bear with me a second. And I pre-ordered this ages ago, and there's another one coming out in October for yet another couple of their albums. So this is the artifact, the Hawkwind X In Search of Space Deluxe Edition box set, and this was $59.99. Now, a lot of Hawkwind fans, in fact the vast majority, have been complaining about these reissues, saying they're too expensive, there's not enough new material, there's not enough live material from the archives coming out, that sort of thing. Well, my view on this is quite straightforward. One of the reasons why there's not new material is that there can't be much left in the vaults. Hawkwind are one of those bands where there's always been a very sort of big bootleg scene and loads of live recordings, and quite frankly a lot of them are terrible. They're no good. They don't come up to scratch. And even though a lot of people say the essence of Hawkwind is in the live experience, I think it must have been with some lineups, but I wouldn't say that's the case at all. I'm a bit of a heretic in that respect. I think it's in the recorded material a lot of the time. And yes, there are great live albums from the band, there's no doubt about that, and great live recordings, but there's also a lot of substandard ones, including official ones, which are not much cop at all. So that's a common complaint, and there's a complaint often about the price of these things. Now, what makes these so expensive? One issue is they nearly all have a Blu-ray which is in 5.1 surround sound, and this is why I buy them, because I pretty much buy anything that's issued by any group or artist I like, any musician I like, that releases something in 5.1, I buy it, because not much is reissued in 5.1. And when you've heard things in 6 speakers as opposed to 2, they're not always better, but 9 times out of 10 you are getting a new experience with a record you know really, really well, and you're hearing things you've never heard before, and it enfolds you and is what it's about. And that for me is the deal breaker. I wouldn't go back to another reissue at this price if it didn't have something special like that. However, a lot of people don't have a 5.1 surround system. This fascinates me because the tech's been available for about 25 years. It's not that expensive, and a lot of people sort of bought DVDs and Blu-ray players and they upgraded to 5.1 because that's something that's pretty much always there on DVDs and Blu-rays of visual content. So, and there's a lot of material out there. So guys, if you like really good rock music and you like psychedelic particularly, just save up a bit. It's not that expensive, you know. It's put some money away, and I'm not a rich man, you know, that goes without saying. Look at the state of this room. So, you know, you can do it. So that's why I buy these things. But yeah, I think you'll agree that's very beautiful. So we're going to clip it out of the shrink and see what's in it. Yes, so of course you buy these things, you pre-order, you pay in advance, and you know, you wait months then for them to appear. And this would have hit the record shops yesterday. Today is Saturday the 31st of August, and there's a hype sticker which I will try and peel off this shrink and stick it on the box later, but we'll see. So here's the slipcase. Great artwork, that, I think. Really, really nice artwork. I love that artwork. Total iconic. And you notice the hawk's head there, so it is a bird. And you've got this very golden age SF style winged helmet on this Starfarer, which I've always loved. So on the back we have the legend, Technicians of Spaceship Earth. This is your captain speaking. Your captain is dead. And Dave Brock, the leader of Hawkwind, would often utter that in concert as songs were starting. So here we go. So what you've got the original mix remastered, and it contains the songs You Shouldn't Do That, You Know You're Only Dreaming, Master of the Universe, We Took the Wrong Step Years Ago, Adjust Me, and Children of the Sun. The bonus tracks are the B and A sides of the single, which made the band famous round about this time, and they are 7 by 7, which is the B side, and the A side was Silver Machine, which got to number 3 in the UK charts in 1970. Was it 71 or 72? I think it was 71, wasn't it? And I remember that single really well, and I borrowed it from a friend, and I would play and play and play it to hear the synth at the beginning. And it was probably the first rock record I really listened to and listened to and listened to. What you also get is new stereo mixes by a chap called Stephen W. Taylor of X in Search of Space, and bonus tracks, Hog Farm, Kiss of the Velvet Whip, 7 by 7 and Silver Machine. So those tracks haven't been unreleased, but they are new stereo mixes. Then there's a Blu-ray, which has the 5.1 surround mixes by Stephen Taylor and the original stereo mix. You get both mixes on the Blu-ray on different layers, and it contains all the tracks already mentioned, and there's also the Silver Machine promotional film from 1972, it is, which you will have seen. It's on YouTube. It was shown on Top of the Pops, and it's cut together from live performances, and it's a region-free Blu-ray. Okay, so you can play it anywhere in the world. Ooh. Right, so inside, what have we got? You've got the... Right, there we go. This is the book, the Hawkwind log, and lovely, lots of sort of artwork and stuff, photographs, what have you. A lot of the artwork will have been in previous editions. There's advertisements, all sorts of things, and looking through it, I don't think there's much I haven't seen before, and the hardcore collector and fan will be familiar with all the material inside. Yeah, but it does have the Hawk log, which came with the original album, which tells you the story of the record, the space science fiction story, which is great, you know. So if you're an SF fan, you'd enjoy this as well. So that's all throughout. So there's something to read in there as well. And of course, a little later in Hawkins' career, Michael Moorcock was involved. And by this point, they had their own space age poet, Bob Calvert, who has been a contributor to New Worlds magazine. And he was declaiming poetry with them live. And he wrote really good science fiction poetry. And I'm going to do something about him at some point, about his poetry. So yeah, there's all sorts of art. And the booklet goes on and on and on and on. Great stuff. And then there's the usual sort of liner notes that you get. I find with these things, I rarely learn anything from them, because if you really love a band and you read all the books and read about them and talk with other fans, it sort of becomes a bit of a thing, really. So there's loads and loads of stuff in there, and it gives you a breakdown of the track listing as well. What we've also got is, let's see, this is the sort of inner sleeve which contains the actual discs. So we'll have a look at that now. I'm not very impressed with the quality of these personally. I think they're kind of thrown together, and they've done 3 or 4 of these now. Let's say there's another one coming. So that's what you get. I would personally prefer a small box, like a fat pack and dual cases, but that's always me. I think these things are rather difficult to sort of store, you know. They're non-standard formats, but there you go. So you've got 2 CDs and the Blu-ray, which, as a lot of people said, does seem a lot for nearly 60 quid, but you are getting a quality package, and you're getting, you're getting a 5.1 mix. So we could argue about whether it's expensive or not, but just to put it in context, there's a Roxy Music, one of the first Roxy Music album, which I think is 4 CDs and a Blu-ray or DVD audio, and that was about £125. It's a lot more than any of the Hawkwind ones would be. And you get a poster, and let's see the poster, and it's an in-concert photograph with a blurred shot of Stacia Blake, who was Hawkwind's live dancer, who used to appear very often with not many clothes on. And it's got credits and design on the back. And what used to happen with the original edition of the LP, it would fold out, a big fold-out thing. And it's designed by Barney Bubbles. Colin Fulcher was a really amazing graphic artist. And there's a book about him called Reasons to Be Cheerful. He did a lot of work for Stiff Records as well. So that's the basic package. You've got the slipcase, the 3 discs in an inner sleeve, you've got the poster, and you've got a nice big chunky booklet there. It is chunky actually, so there's lots to look at in there. So I'll go through that and see if there's anything I don't know, which would be an interesting thing. So that basically is the unboxing. What does it sound like? Well, obviously I haven't played it yet, we'll see. But usually I've not been disappointed by the 5.1 mixes. And I love this band anyway, I love all this material. I guess we should talk about the songs really a little bit. Fundamentally, there are 6 songs on the album, and it opens with a very long number, probably their longest recorded studio number, I would say, called You Shouldn't Do That. And You Shouldn't Do That is kind of regarded as sort of like the anthem of the counterculture at the time. And I'll be honest, it's not one of my favourites. It's got great bits in it, but it's about oppression and rules and people being told to cut their hair and how you get no air and the things you shouldn't do. And it's got a lot of chanting in it and riffing, but it does have a lot of space. And at this point, Hawkwind had 2 people working on electronic instruments, very primitive ones. VCS3 synthesizer played by Del Detmar, and something called an audio generator, which was handled by a guy called Dick Mick. And the audio generator was basically like a copycat echo, a few other bits and pieces put together to sort of just create these spacey sounds. And they still work really well today. And it's very, very trippy, as you imagine. So that's a very long sort of thing. And people used to idiot dance a lot to that record. It sort of lends itself to freak outs, as they say. And then the second track on the first side of the album is about 7 minutes long, and it's called You Know You're Only Dreaming. And it's predominantly an acoustic number, very, very dreamy, and it sort of goes off and meanders, but it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, something it almost reminds me of is a track by Alice Cooper called Below Your Means from the second Alice Cooper album, which also meanders and drifts off after a vocal beginning. And it's one of my favourite Hawkwind tracks. I love it. Side 2 of the original vinyl LP opens with one of their most famous numbers, a song called Master of the Universe, which really is about solipsism, and obviously it's got the metaphor of space. But Nick Turner, the now sadly deceased singer and wind instrument player, he wrote this. He's a very distinctive voice, he had amazing stage presence, and he sings this and wrote this song. And it's got this sort of chugging heavy metal riff. And there's loads of versions of it on different Hawkwind albums. But there's only one version as far as I could say. And it's this one because it's kind of held back. There's a lot of texture in it, some chugga-chugga guitar, some phasing and what have you. And the lyrics really are about sort of solipsism and sort of perception and being, alone in the universe, and how your view of the universe is the view of the universe. So subjectivity is truth. So it's like existentialism in space. It's a great track. And I just enjoy it so much more than every other version because it has this tenseness, tautness and held back quality that's just fantastic. So then another favourite is the song We Took the Wrong Step years ago, which has kind of environmental overtones. It's not always that specific, and it's sung by Dave Brock, leader of the band. And Dave's got this wonderful nasal, folky, very English voice, which I really love. I love listening to him sing. And it is about, how we took the wrong step years ago. It's got lots of nice 12-string acoustic guitar in it and electronics. And it's an interesting thing at this point. Hawkwind were a combination of the pastoral and the spacey, and it just works so well. Really great stuff. Then there's a song called Adjust Me, which is probably one of the most science fictional numbers on here. And that's when you have to hear to understand, really. And it finishes with a very short track, which seems quite stentorian and gloomy, despite the lyrics being quite utopian. And it's called Children of the Sun, and that's sung by Nick Turner. It's got a very sort of memorable flute break on it. And it's an interesting clash between optimistic seeming lyrics and quite a doomy melody, which I really like. So that, in brief, is In Search of Space. If you like fully textured, discursive, rambling, but at times very sort of close riff oriented rock, you can't go wrong. And you know, Hawkwind, they were important influences over what became in heavy metal and in psychedelia, and also things like stoner rock as well. So I'm looking forward to listening to that. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got a copy, let me know. Let me know what you think of the record. If you haven't heard it, you might want to consider getting some Hawkwind, particularly the early stuff recorded in the 1970s. And I want to dedicate this video to my friend Joe Brooks, who wrote a great Hawkwind book, and I get credited in that for a little bit of input, which is really nice. So thanks for that, Joe, and have a great weekend. Hope you enjoy listening to your new copy of In Search of Space if you've just received one like me. Bye for now.